Welcome to Project Pack number 11. My name is Rick.
Hi, I'm Maria, and we are so excited about this project pack, and it's been long in coming.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of history to, not only it's how Maria and I got together, and it's informed a lot of the work we do in Zentangle. So let's do a little introduction here. We're introducing, as you can see there, a new tile. We're calling it the Zentangle Phi tile. That's P-H-I. And it's a rectangular tile, and the proportions are the Phi proportions. And in this intro, we'll talk a little bit about that. And it's about geometry, it's about proportions, and what's
it's about beauty. None of that other stuff. It's really about beauty.
So in that proportion is beauty. So this isn't about math. It's not about perfection.
No fear, everybody. No fear
on this.
Yep.
And we're going to dig a little deep into fragments in particular. In this project pack, we're just going to, of course, use the materials in it. We're going to also work a little bit, introduce some colored chalk. You can use anything you have at home. You can do this without the project pack. When we got together,
well, was it 2003? Around 2000?
Early 2003, yeah.
But we had been walking partners for 2 years, and before we were a couple, we would take these long walks in the daytime and talk about geometry because it was the thing that got us together in the first place. In some casual conversation, we must have mentioned it, and it became the topic of our conversations.
And
during
it's
our
geometry
walks.
Like in proportions. So it's relationships of sizes. So what's particularly of significance is it's the relationship of the width, in this case, to the length. Maria was using that in her art. I was using it in watching how markets worked in both time and price, and so just marveling at the beauty of so much of things. Got a couple examples.
Okay, so a couple. Yeah, I had to hold them back here.
Right. Okay, so one of the things that we would look at on our walks, and I think I'll do this first, is I'll show you this. So this is a pine cone, right? And
big pine cone.
And we would pick, these grow around here and they fall off the trees. And this is one of those that fell off the tree. And you can see that there are like spirals going this direction. And there are also spirals going in this direction, right? So if let's pick one of these, and I'm just going to put a mark on there, and let's count the spirals that are going in this direction, okay? So let's say this one here is 1, right? This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. This is 6. This is 7. And this is 8. And we're back here. So we've got 8 of these. So now let's count how many there are in this direction. Okay? So we'll start from that same place. And I've got 1. I'll make this a little longer here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we've got 5 in one direction and 8 in the other direction. So what's so big a deal about that?
Funny you should ask.
Funny you should ask, since you're asking that wonderful question. And this only sounds like math, okay? It's about as mathematic as Sudoku is, right? But if we we're going to talk about this guy Fibonacci, right? Back in when was it?
1170. He was born in
Born in
1170.
1170 in Italy.
A very famous mathematician.
Right. And he discovered this sequence that's named after him. And if you take a number, start with 1, and add it to itself, you get 2. And then you add 2, or you add the last number to the one before it, and you get 3. And then 3 plus 2 is 5. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 5 is 13. This will all make sense, folks. You're going to be amazed. At least we were highly impressed with this. And I'll stop here. Right?
So this is that mystical, magical sequence. You've been hearing all these things about movies and books and people referencing the Fibonacci sequence. And this is the Fibonacci sequence. It's the beginning of the Fibonacci sequence, and it continues forever.
Yeah,
right?
It goes on and on because you can just keep adding this to this. And what's neat is, to tie this all in, is that if this width was 34, this length would be about 55.
Right.
And so what's the big deal? Well, let's get back to the pine cone. There were, how many? 8 in this direction, and there were 5 in that direction. So, okay, now we get to the really cool stuff.
Okay.
Well, that was pretty cool. But this year, Rick tore up the front yard and planted sunflowers. And just a couple days ago, the first ones came out. And that's Maria sitting on the porch.
The sunflowers got planted a little bit late. So they got not quite as big as a real big sunflower, but they were so gorgeous.
And we'll keep you up to date. And you can see in the foreground here, our poke root got planted there. And some people think it's a weed, and we think it's actually really special. It's doing really well. And it's very happy in our front yard.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay, so I took a close-up picture of I think either this one or this one. That was the first one out. And this is a picture of the center, which is really quite beautiful. And look
just
at
in itself, yeah.
I mean, look at those, like this little forest of trees all pointing into the center. And again, we want to point out that this is not about perfection. And you can see that even this sunflower has is growing the way Maria often tangles.
Right. So nature, in its glorious wisdom, wanted to put as many seeds as possible on the head of this sunflower in the center, and found this direction to do it was the most efficient way to get as many sunflower seeds as possible in the center of this flower.
I'm so glad you said that, because I forgot that.
Yeah, I know.
And we always mention, when we talk about the elegance of limits in Zentangle, is that it's such an inspiration both to creativity and beauty, because the efficiency of this seed packing here also turns out to be one of the most beautiful presentations that resonates throughout all of creation.
Everything that about nature is so beautiful, and not necessarily there for practicality, but for beauty in itself.
And beauty is so important. And one of the things, we're all about patterns in Zentangle, and I think the pattern of proportion is what we're working with. So anyways, back to why I've got this picture here. Again, like on the pine cone, you can see there are these spirals coming out, right? So let's look at the spirals that are coming out in this direction. And if we were to count them, I did it by, putting these marks on the screen.
Oh, how vile.
So there are 21 of these spirals
Going in that direction.
going in that direction. So remember this?
There's the 21. There it is right there.
Okay, so I also see there are spirals going in this direction, right? You can see those? So let's find out if we put marks on them, how many those are. Whoops. So you've got 21. Oh, here's 34.
But then, wait, there's more.
There's more.
Rick discovered another direction
So
that he hadn't planned on.
right? So if you look here, I was looking here and I was seeing like there's sort of a straight row of these, like this one and this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And there's like this, you can really see it right here. So if I were to put a mark on all of those, how many would I have? Well, 55. And here we are again. 21 plus 34 is 55. So
There you go. That's one example of how nature is teaching us the system of beauty that it uses.
and it's often breaks its own rules.
Yep,
So,
yep.
so I was thinking, okay, I'm
But
going
we
to go
haven't
back
discovered
out.
why yet.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe it's just to like
Shake us up.
shake us up, or just to say, okay, it's not. It's like this. It's like this balance point. So if you ever see somebody walking across a tightrope, they're never static. They're always correcting, going back and forth. But to not fall off, you have to sort of tip side to side. So I was thinking, okay, I'm going to be really smart and go out in the garden and count how many petals there were. And I went back and forth and I tried to count, oh, did I start here? Did I start here? As far as I come up with, there's 22.
Which breaks the rules.
Which breaks the rules. So do not be obsessed with perfection, because at least this particular sunflower decided to put in 22 petals instead of 21. We have another beautiful thing to show you here. So
It was one of my portfolios. One day, Rick came to me, and he had been doing a lot of studying with the phi ratio and in art, and just imagining all these different things. And he says, go pick out 3 of your favorite pieces that you've done over the years, and don't tell me why. Just go in and just grab the ones that that spoke to you, that appealed to me. And I knew exactly which ones, because I always would go back to them and use them as examples, because I felt that these were the ones that sang, that really I felt showed maybe some of my better work. And I actually had photographs of all of these. And so he took pictures of all of them and put them on his computer and analyzed all the proportions on these. And I don't know if you can see them.
yeah, I did this little overlay, and this one down here is particularly, let me just see if I can make that a little bit. Yeah. This one down here is really illustrative because, and I've got this cool little device here that's a Fibonacci or phi ratio. So whatever you do this, then this is the same proportion. So if you look at the overall length, it's pretty close to the width. Not exact, but pretty close. But then if you look at the length here and go like this, well, the center of that apple, right, is right at that proportion.
Both ways.
Exactly. So let's take the width, and then there it is.
Now, I didn't know anything about this when I did this piece, and what it does is it gives you the diagonal goes right through it. Not only did it go through there, but it went through the apple down here, and
so, right?
It's just it always spoke to me, and it was a piece I did for for free for this shelter.
Right.
And so I could do it any way I wanted, and it was a labor of love. And it's just one of those things. And then just coincidence, coincidence. The shelter was called the PIP shelter.
I think People in Peril.
People in Peril. And when I did this, I was trying to think of, feeding these people and the simplicity. What's the simplest thing? And I thought, well, it was an apple, right? So after I got the whole thing done, I think I was showing it to my dad, and I said, I don't know why I did apple. He says, well, it's because of the pips in the apple. And I said, the pips? And he says, apple seeds. Apple seeds are called pips, cool. And I didn't know that.
So
that
a
was
lot of things
welcome
like
to
that
my life.
happen.
Yeah.
No, but that's those wonderful synchronicities are very common, particularly for us in Zentangle. So here, let's take a look at this one. So again, this is something Maria had done for Salve Regina University in Newport. And the key point here is this little, this cross, where those items cross. That's pretty close, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it works in both directions. So if we look at this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also, if we look at this way, that L is resonating on that same space. And the top of misericordiae, whatever, that's right on that phi line. So I'm trying to find the way to like explain it.
Okay, well, I explained it to him that it's not something that you automatically know, so this is why we're sort of showing you this, is that these came about after I had been drawing and painting and lettering for, 40 years, 50 years. And so after a while, you start, just inhaling these proportions from seeing what art, did you love, and emulating. And this is before I would do a setup with diagonals and things like that. And so don't be discouraged if yours don't relate to this. It comes with time, and it comes with knowledge and a little bit of practice and awareness.
And that whole awareness, that's a great word, because you become aware. Like we always talk about how new Zentangle artists go out and they say, I see patterns everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but they were always there.
And they were always there, but part of this is seeing the pattern of proportions that are out there, whether it's in butterflies or wasps or birds or seashells or what have you. So what else is in this project pack?
We got this. No, we got
We've
one more thing.
Got to show you that. Move this out of the way.
And this was, I did these deliberately, but if any of you have one of the scarves that we designed for Zentangle, I love this piece. And it's a collection of Fibonacci spirals, and you can see them in here. And they start this way and this way, because it's not an ordinary spiral. It's not a spiral that's equal in the widths, how they, So you can see them in here. And it's just one of my favorite pieces. Look at how
this was deliberately done.
This was deliberately done.
And the other ones that we showed you were intuitively done.
Right.
I think just because
before I knew anything about it.
You were so aware.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've created this, and this is what is in your project pack. And also in this video below in the descriptions, if you don't have the project pack, we have a link online so that you can print one of these out. But we'll just show you how this works. Is if you take, for instance, this Fibonacci tile, you can put it here.
Where it says phi tile right here,
so
it tells you there's the phi tile there.
So you just
put
it
there
on that little rectangle. and it will show you those breaks or internal parts that if you go like this goes like that. So it shows you, right? And you can do it this way as well.
So let's show them what we were having you do on these tiles is it with a pencil and a light line, just mark these little places like that
and
on
you
both
could do
sides.
that on both sides. And also you see phi over here. Well, you can mark those lengthwise as well.
On both sides.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to set up where those really sweet, beautiful, proportional spots would be, right?
Approximately.
Yeah, ish. It's an important word.
So when I was setting these up, I would hold the tile straight to me, and I would just pull this down approximately this way. It's not a straight line, but it's a straightish line. And in our simple examples in this whole series, we're going to be working with these sweet spots here and accenting those, knowing that they're there.
Right? So, what about our other tiles? Well, if we take the apprentice tile, you just find apprentice, and you put that in there.
And you can, again, mark them. I don't know if you can see that on there.
Right? And if you have our regular tile, you can put the original square tile right there. And if you have the bijou tile, well, you take bijou and do the same thing. And the 3Z tile, right? You can again drop that right in there. And you've found those lovely sweet spots. So that is our welcome to Project Pack 11.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to work with Molly and Martha, and Maria and I are going to show you how what we've done with this, and then we look forward to
see what you do.
To see what you do. So thank you so much, and let's have a good time.
Bye.
Bye now.